More breaking news from the Jets. Day after locking up Garrett Wilson, they have signed Sauce Gardner to a 4-year extension. It's worth just over $120 million, according to multiple reports. He now becomes the league's highest paid corner at just over $30 million a year. He was a Jets first-round draft pick back in the 22 NFL draft, was the defensive rookie of the year. On the other side, Garrett Wilson was the offensive rookie of the year, and now both of them are locked up for years to come in Mean Green. Let's bring on our Jonathan Jones. JJ, just got a note from our research team and producer Noah that from 2011 to 2022, the Jets signed one measly first-round pick to a second deal. How have they done this twice in about 24 hours now?
Well, it certainly is a credit to former general manager Joe Douglas in choosing correctly Sauce Gardner, the number 4 overall selection in that draft more than 3 years ago. And of course, getting Garrett Wilson. And so that is absolutely a credit. Now, over the years, the Jets were picking very highly. They weren't winning very much. There were issues in free agency, et cetera, et cetera. And so half of the battle is getting a high enough pick to increase your chances of getting someone that you want to re-sign. And the other half, of course, is making sure that they follow through on their end of the bargain over their next 3 or 4 years and deserve to be signed. Certainly, Sauce Gardner deserved to be signed, a 2-time first-team All-Pro in his first 2 years. Now, this past year, play fell off just a little bit, but that is falling off from a first-team All-Pro level, while also some things were going on with the Jets that were outside of his control. We see right here, highest paid quarterbacks by average value. Honestly, the top one just less than a year ago was Pat Surtain II. Now, of course, he is the defensive player of the year. So that number has really shot up, right? We remember Pat Surtain was at 24. Then Jalen Ramsey and the Dolphins came over the top when they didn't have to. Obviously wound up regretting that, and that's why there's a Steelers logo beside Jalen Ramsey's name right now. And then the Texans and Nick Caserio, the general manager, paid Derek Stingley a 3-year, $90 million contract that really reset the market. So the Jets had to go above and beyond. This is going to be reported as a 4-year extension, but in actuality, it is 4 years on top of the remaining 2. That is exactly what we saw yesterday with Garrett Wilson. So the Jets, having selected both of these fantastic young players a few years ago, now have them locked up and under team control throughout the rest of this decade, right? Their deals are up in 2030. That's also when they turn 30 years old. So this should quiet any sort of contract disputes, any sort of money issues for some time, at least until that guaranteed money runs out after the 2028 season. So kudos to Joe Douglas for drafting these guys. And of course, kudos to new general manager Darren Mucci for getting them under contract before the start of training camp. You do right by this team does right by you, is the message to all the Jets players.
And Aaron Glenn, new head coach there, former Pro Bowl cornerback. I'm sure he loves to see one of the top corners, maybe the top corner in the league, locked up under his control for the foreseeable future. As he gets set to take off in his first season, he's got Justin Fields at quarterback. Where do the Jets believe they are as they look to kind of rebuild this thing after a couple middling years with Rodgers?
Yeah, certainly, and I think that's the right way to put it. You know who your franchise pillars are, your cornerstones. You know that you wanted to lock up the Sauce Gardners and the Garrett Wilsons of your team this offseason. You hoped that there wasn't going to be any nonsense in May or June, right? This new regime comes in. We're going to be focused. We're not having leaks throughout this building as it has been in years past. We're going to be focused on ball and getting better, and good things are going to come. So check 1 and check 2 for those 2 players and for Aaron Glenn and this new regime. And now you have a Justin Fields who, it didn't necessarily work out in Chicago, as we all know, and probably should have kept playing as a starter in Pittsburgh. But once it became clear that he didn't want to go and stay in Pittsburgh, he wanted to do something new. He signs that 2-year deal with the Jets. And we see right here how long it's been for the Jets. Anyone who is a fan of the Jets, well, Chris, they don't need this graphic. They know. They've been living it for 14 years, right? I don't think that you're going to hear any bold proclamations from Jets players this training camp under new head coach Aaron Glenn about this year's goals. I fully anticipate when they get to training camp and the microphones are in their face, they're going to be talking about getting better every day and each week going 1-0. And so any idea of breaking the drought and that Lombardi over there, the one Lombardi looking a little lonely, as we remember a former Jets quarterback once said upon his introductory press conference. You're not going to be hearing that from these Jets.
Well, big time lockups there for the New York Jets as they begin the new tenure of Aaron Glenn. Obviously, one of those helping to reshape the wide receiver market in Garrett Wilson. And there's another wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, who would love to see a deal get done with his team, the Washington Commanders. Now, he is right now holding out. He said earlier today in an appearance at a car dealership that he doesn't see himself playing on his current contract, but he also said that he does want to stay there and get a deal done with the Commanders. Take a listen.
You know, I've wanted to continue my career here. I've created my life here. You know, my wife and I have bought our first home here. So this has been somewhere where I've always wanted to be. And, you know, just to see how things have played out has been disappointing. Obviously, I understand everything's a business, but at the same time, like, you know, I want to put myself in a position where, you know, I'm valued and, you know, I feel appreciated and things like that. And, you know, unfortunately, that hasn't transpired the way I wanted to.
Sauce Gardner agreeing to a 4-year extension worth just over $120 million. We're going to have much more on that and all things NFL in just a little bit with our Jonathan Jones. But it is a big week in Atlanta, the All-Star game tonight at Truist Park. And then across town, the buzz at SEC Media Days picking up again today. That's where we find our Richard Johnson and Josh Pate. Richard, I understand you just spoke with Greg Sankey, a little sit-down interview with him. What'd you take away from that?
Yeah, Chris, he sat in this very chair, and I asked him a wide range of questions about what's happening in college sports right now. It is no secret, as Josh and I both know, that unfortunately a lot of the conversation coming into SEC Media Days has been what is happening off the field, and I mean way off the field, in the courtrooms, in Capitol Hill, in Washington, D.C., in the halls of Congress. And as far as the college football playoff is concerned, I asked him, quite frankly, what happened in Destin, Florida. Going into SEC meetings in May, it seemed like the SEC was kind of congealing around an automatic qualifier heavy proposal for the future of the college football playoff that involves 16 teams. They came out of SEC spring meetings after the coaches got involved, and it seemed like they had moved off of that, and they were more in favor of 5 conference champions and then 11 at-large bids for 16 teams. And I basically asked Greg Sankey, what changed? And he said that they have not moved off of potentially an automatic qualifier heavy college football playoff format proposal. Now, they've got a December 1st deadline with which to figure this out. I understand that deadline seems a little bit hard and fast, but in the past, Josh, they have blown through their deadlines, have the conference commissioners, as they